Uba, welcome back to the podcast, man. It's good to see you post Divide. You're looking fresh and quite normal, actually.
I'm alive.
That's all you got. It's funny. We have a very similar backdrop. We both have two adventurous paintings kind of over our shoulders in each of our screens. I just noticed that. So we're twinning over here.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, mine are good. Good memories actually from my very first ultra cycling season now 5 years ago. Um, the image on my left shoulder. It's Transiberica. It's the highest peak of Transiberica in Spain. It's called Pico Veleta. It's the highest paved road in Europe, going up to 3,900 meter. And the other one on the right shoulder is sunset on Mount Etna in Italy, the famous volcano. When I raced same year, also 2019, on the two volcano sprint. Good memories.
Yeah, absolutely. I need to get one of my photos of you from the end of Tour Divide up on your wall of fame. I need to send you that as a gift or something. Those are some of my epic, my favorite photographs I've ever taken was from the end of last year's Tour Divide, and
Oh
one
yeah,
of
they were
my
good.
my favorite there. I got quite a few good ones of you, but I think my favorite one is when you were like touching. You remember when you just touched the fence right there at the
Yeah.
border, and you just took a moment, you just touched the fence, and I guess probably reflected and had a moment of relief and joy in that moment. And that was my favorite moments that I think I've captured photographically, actually.
Yeah, it was definitely one of the most emotional moments last year on the finish line, literally. As you said, I got off the bike and just just touched the fence as a symbol of that's it. You can't get more far. That's the end. There is a fence. You cannot continue riding. There is just a fence. And it was uh, was a very special moment and just this real symbol of it ends here. You cannot go further, no matter if you want or not. It ends.
Yeah, yeah, they're not letting you pass that fence. I don't know how well you knew Hal Russell, obviously no longer with us, but a legend on the Tour Divide, and he wrote a book called "Touching Both Lines," and that was very symbolic to me and it reminded me of Hal Russell of touching both lines, and from start to finish, and never giving up in between, and no shortcuts. Like you reach down and touch both lines, and you did it 2 years in a row.
That's
Uh,
true.
this year, an excellent race. I mean, first off, dude, just congratulations, second place. And not only that, but you put on a hell of a race. So first off, man, just congratulations. It was super fun to watch, and hopefully you had a good time out there in between all the snow and the rain and the mud and the lightning storms and everything else that it threw at you this year.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was definitely different than last year. Nothing else what I've expected, but again, it was a good ride. It was fun, I would say today.
Today, you would say that.
Yeah.
Well, before we dive in all into the Tour Divide, I wanted to take your pulse right now on how you're feeling, how recovery is going. So we're having this chat about 2 weeks right after the Tour Divide. So, yeah, what hurts? How are you feeling physically and mentally? What you got going on
Looking
there?
at the calendar, it's actually 10 days, 11 days after I arrived at the finish line. Um, so physically, I'm actually pretty good. The only thing which still reminds me that I did a very long bike ride is that my fingers in the left hand are a bit numb. but they also already got better the last days. Besides that, absolutely no physical issues anymore. I had few days after the finish, I had some pain in the right knee, which was probably due to some liquid in the knee. But give it some rest and it will be fine. So it's fine again and totally back to normal. So physically, totally good. And yeah, like the first 7 days, I felt super tired, which is absolutely not surprising, I think. And it was important to get back to a normal sleep schedule, starting with giving the body and the mind the chance to sleep a bit more in the beginning. And now, since last weekend, since 3 or 4 days, I'm basically back to a normal sleep schedule, sleeping something like 7, 8 hours a night, which will reduce over the next couple of days. So my normal sleep level is around 6, 7 hours a night. I get up quite early in the morning for training. Today I got up at 6 and had my first training again in the morning, which felt pretty good. So being tired and fatigued is the boxes is also checked, and yeah, mentally, it's for me it always feels, and it was last year the same. It feels like the biggest challenge to get back to normal life mentally, in terms of get back into the job, get back into normal life, concentrate on normal things like sitting on the computer. My job is on the computer, having meetings with clients and stuff, and really concentrate on things feels the hardest after being focused for something like 2 weeks on nothing else than eating, riding the bike, fixing problems, and sleeping. That's a pretty simple job to do. And in normal life, you have a few more things to keep in mind and to structure in your brain and stuff. And in the beginning, that feels a bit harder. I'm now back to work since 4 or 5 days. I'm already at, let's say, 80% or something, getting back on track. But that feels the biggest challenge, kind of. I mean, it's doable, it's manageable, it's nothing serious or to worry about, but it's definitely kind of an obstacle.
Yeah, absolutely. I just got, but when you were finishing up your Tour Divide, I was finishing up a 6-day bike tour across Arkansas. And one of the hardest things is making that transition back into real world. Like it just hits you like a freight truck. And yeah, it gives me like anxiety and just, I feel out of sorts, and it takes me a little while to like get back into, okay, this is life and it's going to happen whether you want to or not. So you better just get on the program, and life moves fast, man. It doesn't wait around for you. So it's a tough transition. Speaking to
Yeah, and
recovery.
it's
Oh, go
about
ahead.
the simple things. I mean, you have conversations with people that contain more than the conversations you have for 2 weeks on the counter of any random gas stations where you just buy your stuff. And I mean, the only person I had like real conversations to was my wife during Tour Divide. Whenever there was cell coverage, we had a phone call or we sent some voice messages here and there. But besides that, you don't really have I mean, if you're really racing, you don't really have conversations. There were people out like Eddie Clark. You have like a 3 sentence conversation saying like you feel and how the weather is and everything. But those conversations don't last longer than a couple of minutes. And then you come back to normal life
Yeah.
and you actually have a conversation, I don't know, for dinner with friends in the evening, which can last for 2 hours. And after 10 minutes, you are like, oh, that's actually exhausting.
I can definitely relate. I often forget how to talk to people, and yeah, it feels like draining in like a weird way. So I wanted to just touch on your recovery. We talked a lot about your training, and I think you're well known for your training and the detail and scientific approach to your training. But how important is recovery, and especially right now when you're about a month away from lining up for the Colorado Trail Race? Recovery, I would think, even being more important to just go ahead and get recovered, start training, and getting your body ready for the next leg of your Triple Crown challenge. See, talking is hard.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I learned from last year how important recovery is, and to give the body and also the soul the chance and the room to actually recover. Um, Last year, I came back, and soon I was a bit worried that something was wrong and I might be sick, or some blood values are not right or whatever, because I felt so tired and so weak for something like 2 weeks. And I thought it has to go faster. And then I figured out with some blood tests and stuff that the values were actually better than before Tour Divide. And I learned that that's a natural process, and it takes more than just 2 weeks to recover from something like Tour Divide. And so for this year, I planned the whole process a bit more, and gave me a bit more space in terms of expectations and goal setting. So when I said I am now back to work, I cleaned my schedule in terms of I don't have to do a full 8 hour day. It's totally okay if I do like just 2, 3, 4, 5 hours in the beginning and ramp up slowly. And that's totally good. And if I don't feel it, I can simply stop and do the rest tomorrow or the day after. And that's super helpful for me to have this room and this freedom to prioritize rest and to prioritize recovery. And it's the same for riding the bike and for training. I started back on the bike last week, Thursday. So something a bit more than a week after Tour Divide, it felt good. So I continued riding. Earlier this week, I was in the gym. It didn't feel good, so I simply stopped it. And I will try again end of this week or whatever. It's not urgent, but it's super important to listen to the body and also just do it by feeling, and not only by numbers whenever I'm a big fan of numbers, but here definitely the feeling is more important, to see what feels good. And if it feels good, continue. If it doesn't, just stop it, give it a few more days and try again. So I learned to prioritize the rest, and that's especially important, as you said. Colorado Trail is now something like 5 weeks away, and for training, there is still a lot of time to do hard sessions on the bike. But first, get ready for the hard sessions and then do the hard sessions and not the other way around.
Right. Don't keep going, into the well and kind of setting yourself back. Like allow your body to recover and then gradually build up and just keep hitting it hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk more about the Colorado Trail. We'll probably close out today's show with a look forward. But let's talk about Tour Divide, an absolutely historic year. I mean, this is going to go down in the record books for sure. As your friend Justinas took down Mike Hall's record after what I think it stood for 8 years, and you were a big part of that story. So, I mean, just, what are your thoughts about this moment in time and bikepacking history and on Justinas? Is it Justinas or Justinas?
Justinas.
Justinas. And on Justinas's, his run at the Tour Divide this year.
It was just amazing. It was amazing to be part of it. I mean, we started together. We spent the first night together. We had on day 9 or 10 after Indiana Pass, we met again. He left Platoro, the spot where he slept, and I arrived there. So we were just I don't know, after 250, 260 hours of riding, we were just 2 hours apart from each other and met out on the trail. Had a quick chat. I wished him a good ride, and I said good night. I went straight to bed, had a quick nap, 1.5, 2 hours, whatever, and then continued. So we were always really close out on the trail, and I think knowing that someone is nearby, and it helped both of us to find the strength and the motivation to always continue and to always push the limits a bit. I don't know when we had this winter storm in Montana, if one of us wouldn't have been there, maybe I would have stopped and just waited it out, and maybe Justinas as well. I don't know. But knowing the other person and knowing the other character, that he will probably push through it, enables yourself or pushes yourself as well, and then you continue. And I think so. It was even if we were not riding together, it was kind of teamwork, pushing each other, and that was pretty fun, and was pretty good, and helped me to get through it and to keep going. And yeah, towards the end, I had a puncture on day 11 or something, which took a bit longer than normal to fix. I had like a 5 centimeter steel needle in my rear, and it took me 3 hours to get my tubeless setup back and to fix it and to continue chasing. And actually, those 3 hours that I lost there, they made the difference. And Justinas was basically surfing in front of a front with bad weather and was riding towards the finish, and I simply got caught by the barrier. So I spent the last 48 hours in massive wind, in massive thunderstorms, in massive rain. I got stuck in Gila National Forest because of peanut butter mud. It was raining so heavily, the ground was so sticky, impossible to continue. It was a bit the feeling from last year, from the Great Basin was kind of back. But this time I was alone and I had no porta potty, so I was sleeping next to the trail, waiting for the soil to dry out. It was basically the same thing. So on the last in the last 48 hours, I basically lost something like 17 hours to Justinas, and he was super lucky to be in front of the bad weather and to make it to the finish. And I had bad luck, and it felt a bit like the we switched roles compared to last year. So last year he had a lot of bad luck with mechanicals. First with his derailleur, then he broke a spoke. He lost the pedal, and a lot happened for him in the last 1 or 2 days towards the finish line as well. And this year he was the lucky guy having the clean run to the finish line, and I was the guy who had bad luck, and that's part of the game.
Yeah.
You cannot do anything, especially when it's related to the weather, and if you are at the wrong place in the wrong time, what should you do?
Yeah.
And I mean, those races are simple. You have finished when you reach the finish line, not a single minute earlier. Everything can happen, even on the last kilometers or whatever. So I was pretty optimistic. When we went into New Mexico, I was in a good shape and in a good mood, and I was motivated, and I was well rested. So I thought there are still opportunities, and I had a plan for kind of an attack for my move. It failed because I came a bit too late for the good weather party, but that's how those
The
races happen.
the good weather party. I love that. Yeah, I mean, it's such an exciting race to watch because you were on his heels. I mean, the entire race, like the whole time. He got a little gap going into Montana, it looked like, and then you just stayed on his heels the whole time. Obviously, you're thinking you're going to make a move and try to take him at some point. Uh, had you made previous moves throughout the race prior to when things kind of fell apart, or were you saving your big move for the end there?
No, my plan was I had kind of three phases for the race. The first was I would say have a good start, have a warm up. So try to stick with the front. So this one was successful. It was for the first 2 days. Get into the rhythm, get into the race. The second phase was basically from day 2 to day 10, 11, and it was like focus on a good ride, on the clean ride, focus to stay well rested. My plan was to stop as little as possible during day, be super efficient, only do major stops only for resupply once a day, and focus all the stopping time for the moment when I go to sleep. So I try to sleep every night in a hotel, motel, whatever kind of like in a room. Um, and my plan was to sleep something like 4.5 hours. Whatever the total stop time for such a sleeping break, I limited to 5 hours. So my plan was not to stop for longer than 5 hours, but within those 5 hours, maximize the time for sleeping, and I got better with every day, making things even in hotel rooms more efficient. You can still eat pizza while you are showering. You can do a lot of stuff in parallel. It's fascinating. Um, and yeah, so I had pretty good sleep. Basically every night was well rested, and then the plan was to to do a move somewhere from day 11, and it worked out pretty well. And actually, the night when I punctured and when I had this mechanical, I started my little move attack, however you call it, and I came pretty close. So I think we were less than 30 minutes apart. And Justinas restarted shortly before I arrived at his sleeping spot. And actually, um, where I punctured, it was really close to where he slept. I don't know if he left something for me. No, just kidding. Really, just kidding. But coincidence. On the map, it looked a bit like my wife was wondering why I stopped at the place where Justina slept, and I just sent her a message on InReach because you had no cell coverage there. I just quickly sent her a message that I have a mechanical and it might take a while to fix it. It was a bit more complicated, so only dropping a line that I was okay. But still, she was wondering why it happens at the actual same place where Justina's just slept.
Oh, that's funny. Uh, it was interesting when I was watching and following along on Track Leaders. You were in striking distance to him for so long, and I was curious. And if you were just allowing him to set the pace and following along at your own pace until you were ready to make a move, and just kind of keeping him in striking distance. And it sounds like maybe that was a little bit of your strategy, with just sticking with your plan, getting your sleep, staying on pace, and staying within striking distance of him. Was that in your mind at all?
Yeah, definitely. It was mainly to focus on my own writing. It was not so much about what Justinas was doing. So I really focused on sticking to my plan and to have fun during the ride. And I actually have to say, until day 10, 11, when things starts to go wrong, for sure, I had hard days on the bike, especially when it was minus degrees and snowing in Montana. That was everything but an easy ride. But when the weather was pleasant and normal, I actually enjoyed every single day, and over the day, like 90% of the time. And that was a massive improvement compared to last year. Last year, I had a lot more times when I was just feeling not good on the bike, not enjoying myself, not enjoying the ride. Probably everyone knows it. You have those times on the bike where you don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
And this year I had way less time like this on the bike, and I think that was simply due to the fact that I was more rested and that I focused more on sleeping. So I prioritized this and simply saving energy, having a good time, and at the same point, it led to the fact that the gap between Justinas and me never was bigger than 2, 3, 4 hours. And Justinas slept a bit less, at least according to track leaders, slept a bit less during night, therefore did a couple of more stops during day, probably just sitting or laying next to the road, having a quick nap, something like this. So in total, our stopping time was pretty similar. We simply allocated it in a different way. I did it like in one block, and Justinas did it here and there, and we both had our own ways to deal with it, and you simply have to figure out what's working for you. So our individual strategies were obviously working for us, but my my intention definitely was to keep calm till something like day 11. The race is long. Still, then you have something like 1,000 kilometers, 800 miles, whatever to go. And my plan was to do a move within the last 700, 800 miles, 1,000 kilometers, something like this. And that's when I actually started in the mountains after Albuquerque. This lovely, nasty, yeah, it's a hard ride up there, and I thought that's a good moment to push myself a little bit more.
Yeah. What about speaking to your better mental health headspace and just having more high moments on this year's race? Do you think contributing factors could be contributed to that's not the right word. The changes that you made, you've already done Tour Divide. This was your second time there, and you made changes to your bike and your setup. Did that contribute to also just feeling better out there on the Tour Divide this year? Do you think it mostly just came down to taking care of yourself?
Yeah, what I learned last year is that it's really long. Everything can happen at any time, especially towards the end. And you really have to save something for the end. And every change I made on the bike, on my setup, on my kit list, on whatever, was focused on durability and on optimizing things to last longer. And it worked quite well. So my setup was 100% reliant. I mean, you cannot do anything about a steel needle in a tire. That's just things happen. But that was actually the only issue I had. So I think the experience from last year, knowing the route a bit, knowing what waits for you in which corner, already helped a lot. And also the experience in terms of what's important for the setup and what's important for resting and for recovery helped quite a lot to simply make it a smoother ride. And besides all the complications that hit you from above and from everywhere, I have to say it definitely was a smoother ride than last year.
Awesome. Well, it's going to get overshadowed maybe a little, the fact that Justinas took down Mike Hall's record, and we've had the conversation about the record and how the short courses changed. But I mean, one way to look at it is that, in any iteration of the Tour Divide, Mike Hall held the fastest time for many years. And not only did Justinas break Mike Hall's record, but you also came ahead of Mike Hall's record. So, I mean, you put in an absolutely fantastic, fast, well-dialed and strategic approach to the race. So, what does that mean to you to to be chasing Mike Hall's dot, and in the end of it, kind of come out ahead of his dot a little.
Um, I went into the race with a totally different mindset than last year. Last year, in fact, I was kind of chasing Mike's record and Mike's dot. This year, I came in with the clear statement, um, I'm not there to beat or to do better than Mike's time. I'm simply there to set a new one because you cannot compare the route anymore. This year there were additional 2 or 3 changes implemented that made the route in total way slower. So there is a new section of the Continental Divide Trail in northern New Mexico. Before it was a mix of road and a gravel road section, which was 60 kilometers. The new section, and I think I haven't looked it up, but my feeling would be this section was probably last year something like 3.5 hours. This year, the new section on the Continental Divide Trail, it was only 30 kilometers, so half of it, but it took me more than 6 hours because it was really complicated terrain. You had a lot to hike with the bike. It was sometimes single trail, super technical. It was getting on and off the bike. It's a super nice and scenic trail, but it's damn hard to do it, to get over it. So it was
Made
way
for
longer.
hikers, not for cyclists.
Definitely, definitely. So that's the one part that was changed, and the other major change was after Hechita. So on the last I don't know 50 miles after Hechita, going towards the Mexican border. Another part of the Continental Divide Trail was introduced, and I mean, last year you just went down the road, tarmac, maybe headwind, and you made it down towards the Mexican border. The Continental Divide Trail that was introduced, um, it was, let's say, technically interesting. It was additionally spiced up if you do it at night. And it took me, I don't know, 3.5 hours for less than 30 kilometers. So it was again way slower than the tarmac section, which was part of the route all the years before. To make a long story short, more than ever before, you cannot compare the route that Mike Hall did back in the days 2016, even without Coco claims in Canada. You cannot compare it with the version that we use today. And still, I thought to make it easy, one route, one record with Mike Hall, a new route, one record with someone else. And to make it simple, my goal simply was to do it faster than the 13 days, 22 hours, 50 minutes something that Mike did. And you will not have any discussions. It will be simple and clear, no matter how the route looks like. It was faster, well done. So we were quite good, and actually Justina finished the time. So we were en route to do something like 13 days and a couple of hours, and maybe on day 10 or something, I even thought it would be possible to do something less than 13 days. So something 12 days, 23 hours, whatever. I thought that's totally possible, and Justinas showed how close he was. He finished in 13 days, 2 hours, and that was a really good ride. And now imagine you can find 2 hours somewhere. That's totally possible. And even me, after all the weather problems of the last days and even of the slower sections. I finished in 13 days, 22 hours and 13 minutes. That's easy to remember. 13, 22, 13. I timed it. Really good. And yeah, I think that was a really good year, and as you said, it's one for the books. But still, we should remember that this is the record now with 13 days, 2 hours for this route, and for the new route, however you call it. And we still should remember Mike's achievement he did back in 2016 with all the good memories for him as a person and what he did for us and for the sport. And I think there can be simply two records that we remember or even more.
Yeah. Absolutely agree. I don't think that anything that happens this year or any year going forward will ever diminish what Mike Hall brought to this sport, the legacy that he left, and the way that he continues to inspire an entire community. And we're still talking about him, and I think we always will talk about him. His time will just go down in the record books as being in a historic moment in our sport, and it should be honored. And I think that that's just the appropriate response. But it is exciting. We're in a new era of bike pack racing, and in the last 6 months, we've had three people come along, and like I said, I mean, Mike Hall's record stood as the fastest time on any course, regardless of Coco claims, or it stood up for 8 years. And just in the last 6 months, we've seen three people, Lachlan being the first, and he had his media crew, so we'll put an asterisk if you want to, but a fast time is a fast time. And then there's a conversation of ITT versus group start, but three very, very fast times here in the last 6 months. So we're in an exciting period of bike pack racing. It's exciting to see, and I'm just curious to get your thoughts on, what is your prediction? Or is this the new normal? Are we going to continue to see fast times like this, and potentially even faster times coming in the future?
Well, I thought a lot about it while riding, and actually, I hope we find a way to somehow stop it. Um, I mean, going fast and going faster is fun till a certain point, and then it gets harder. And I think at a certain point, um, you simply lose the joy of riding, because then you have to cut on sleep. You have to, I don't know, go for 12 days in sleep deprivation. And then you have a beautiful route of 2,700 miles. But I think you can still go way faster, but you will not enjoy it at all. And I think it still should be a ride that you actually enjoy. Sure, you can go fast, and I think with the times of 12 and a half, 13 days, so something what we did now, what Lachlan did, what Justinas did, where I was close by. That's kind of the threshold where you still can have a good time and enjoy. Probably it's possible somehow to do less. But then for me, the question is, how much do you enjoy it? And what is the price you actually pay for it to get this time? And for me personally, I'm thinking a lot about it, even while going fast. Um, I'm doing it not for the time and for the record and for whatever. I'm doing it to have a good time. And if I see this at risk I'm not willing to spend 5 days in a dark hole just to chase down hours and hours. I'm not, I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't want to do this. I don't want to go to this place. And still, I'm kind of a competitive person, so I feel motivated when there is something to chase. But I also I did enough long distance rides and races to know where my limits are and to know the fine line that I don't want to step over because I know what's waiting on the other side, and that's typically not fun. So yeah, for sure. Records are there to be broken, or fastest known times are there to set a new one. But uh, I'm also dreaming of a world where it finds an end and where it's simply good to have any time and everyone is fine with it.
Oh, I love that. I really do love to hear that. It's such a maybe unique and fresh perspective, especially coming from one of the top athletes and competitors in the bike pack ultra endurance racing, that you yourself are still, finding the joy in it and prioritizing that. And I really think that that's great. And I think that that hopefully speaks to like the spirit of this sport. And it makes me wonder, like, for you personally, what, a lot of people listening, I think, will probably get it, but I mean, a lot of people will be like, you rode your bike for 14 days, 2,800 miles, and you're just calling that fun. How do you define fun? What is it about racing these long distances, maybe specifically the Tour de Fête, that is fun for you?
It's the simplicity. It's the simplicity of being out there in the nature on the bike and doing nothing else for a couple of consecutive days than riding, eating, sleeping, and solving some problems. It's so much more slow and relaxed than daily life actually is today. At least my daily life is. Um, I don't get the chance in my day-to-day life to focus on only such a few things. There's always something. There is a meeting here. There is a dinner with friends there. There is a message on the phone here. There is this there. You have to do so much stuff. And to most of the stuff, you hardly can say no. And for me, going out on such a ride, on such an adventure, it's, let's say, the perfect excuse to not even say no, to simply not. I mean, my phone is not ringing because I don't have any cell service out there. But if my phone was ringing, I don't even look at it who is calling. I already know I will not pick up because I'm riding my damn bike. And that's the simplicity on really focusing on the most essential things. That's the special fun that I find on this kind of bikepacking races that I don't find anywhere else in normal life, how I call it. Um, and that's just amazing. Um, you go through the nature all day. You see sunrise in a special environment. You see sunset in a totally different environment. I don't know. Sunrise in the desert, sunset in the high mountains on Indiana Pass, whatever. that's special. And you collect the density of special moments you can collect on this kind of rides. That's unique. You cannot go on any vacation, or at least I haven't done any holidays or vacation where I had such a density of very special moments that I will remember for a whole lifetime than I have on this kind of rides. And that makes it special, and that's my definition of fun.
Oh
To
man,
remember it. I have good
that's
memories.
such a beautiful sentiment, and I love to hear that. And I relate to that on a very high level. Uh, so speaking of special days on the bike, you celebrated a birthday out on the Tour Divide this year, which is pretty special. That's got to be a birthday that you're never going to forget. Yeah, like what day was your birthday? How old did you turn? And what did you do on the Tour Divide, if anything, to celebrate your birthday?
It was day 5 on Tour Divide. I turned 38 this year, and it was a special day because it was I love the high alpine environment, and I love the high mountains. And it was the first day when I got to the high mountains. So on my birthday, I climbed Togwati and Union Pass. Those are the first climbs, or the first mountains on the Tour Divide, higher than 3,000 meter. And I had super nice weather up there. It was sunshine. It was warm. It was not too hot. It was actually perfect conditions, and had a really special day out there. Enjoyed it a lot, and I already knew it when I planned the days and the route and a bit of my pace. When everything was going to plan, I thought I can do Tokawati and Union Pass as a birthday present, so I did. And this year, this was my birthday present. Last year, I gifted myself a pair of new socks because my all my socks were dead due to the rain and the mud, and they had holes everywhere. This year, I had better socks, so I didn't needed socks. Um, so I gifted myself just with this two lovely clients, and I really enjoyed them.
No special birthday cake that you packed or a special treat of any sort, just those climbs.
Yeah,
I love
pretty
it.
simple again.
Hey man, I love it. Leaning into maybe what really matters in these races, I love that. All right. Well, that was a happy day on the Tour Divide. We're going to be, so at the end of today's episode, we're going to be sharing some audio journals that you captured during your race. So we're going to close out today's show with those audio journals from you. One of them talks about the hardest day you've ever had on the bike. And I felt like that's a pretty big statement. You've done a lot of hard races. You've put yourself out there to the extreme. What day was this, and what made that day so particularly challenging?
It was day 3 in northern Montana. When we started in Banff, there were forecasts for beginning of the week, so something like day 4, that a winter storm will hit northern Montana with snow and with really low temperatures, really cold and bad weather, and massively hit the area of northern Montana. And I was not too much worried because I thought day 4, northern Montana, all good. I will be gone already. I'm sorry for the guys in the mid pack, but I will be way down south by this time. Um, well, the weather changed the plans a bit. So it was in the end, it was not on Tuesday anymore. It was on Wednesday, on Monday. So not day 4, but day 3. It was not northern Montana, but it was southern Montana. So it was actually where I was. So we're talking about the area about Helena and Butte. So I crossed into Helena over Priest Pass on the last climb before descending into Helena, and I met Jay Peterberry and Eddie Clark, the photographer. They were camping on top of Priest Pass, taking a few photos, capturing a few videos. And it started snowing in this night for the first time on Priest Pass. Very little snow, but it was a first glimpse of what was coming the next days. I went down into Helena, went to a motel, slept there, continued the next morning, and were climbing up Lava Mountain, and it started snowing seriously. So on top of Lava Mountain, I had something like 10 centimeters, 1-2 inches of fresh snow. That was still in the first moment you like it, you laugh about it because it's 16th, 17th June and you have snow. It gets different. I started at 4 a.m. or something in the morning, and it basically snowed the whole day in higher elevation. So after Lava Mountain, I went down to Butte. There it was raining seriously, and from there climbing the next climb and then up to Fleecer Ridge. On Fleecer Ridge, we had something like, I don't know, 20 centimeters, 4 inches of fresh snow. It was terrible, not only the snow, but riding in those cold, wet, and windy conditions. It was super windy. It was super wet from all sides. No matter what gear you were wearing, as long as you move, you stay warm, but you cannot, to say it in simple words, you cannot even stop for a piss because this like 30 seconds, minute of stopping will make you freeze for the next 10 minutes. So
Wow.
you think twice if you stop for 30 seconds or not. And well, it's it's just uncomfortable and really, really demanding. Your body burns more energy, more calories just to stay warm.
Yeah.
So you have to calculate this in resupplies as well. It's just really demanding physically and mentally to ride all day long in those conditions. And I mean, normally if you hit bad weather, if you're lucky, it lasts for a couple of hours. And I don't know if it's a bad day, then it lasts for half a day. But from noon, it gets better. You dry up, and in the evening, you will have forgotten everything, and you will say, "Ah, it was a beautiful day. It was not too bad."
Yeah.
But if you're riding in those adverse conditions, from the very first minute in the morning till you arrive. I made it through through Whitefish to Elkhorn Springs this night. If you start in the morning, getting wet from minute one, and if you arrive at Elkhorn Springs again, still it's snowing, totally wet and soaked and cold. So I had, I don't know, 20, 21, 22 hours nonstop riding in those conditions. That was tough. That was tough.
And and you were well prepared from a clothing equipment standpoint. There wasn't any deficiencies there. It was just simply just really tough weather.
Well, I didn't had I didn't have clothes for Arctic conditions or something. But my gear was totally fine. So I was not freezing all day. But it's not comfortable. I mean,
Yeah.
you have at least your face is somehow out there, and I don't wear a face mask or something. So at least you get all the snow, all the cold wind. You get it on your nose, on your skin. Everything is wet, and also, I mean, the shoes. No matter if you wear shoe covers or not, your shoes will get soaked and your feet will be cold. You cannot do anything, nothing.
Yeah.
Just just swap shoes every half an hour. I don't know.
Yeah, just
So
bring a few extra pairs of
this is
shoes.
something you have to acknowledge, you have to withstand, and you have to get over it. It's nothing serious. It's uncomfortable. It's not fun, and it makes it hard.
Yeah. So y'all had Arctic freezing temperatures in the northern portion of the course, and then I believe in New Mexico, some, I don't know if they're record heats, but extreme heat.
Yeah.
You know, fun question, but what do you prefer? What do you perform better in, the cold or the hot? If you had to choose one, which one would you choose?
And I choose the middle in between and
No,
nothing
you
of
have to pick
both.
a hard one.
I don't know. I suffered a lot in the heat of southern Colorado and New Mexico as well. But still, I mean, there are methods to escape the heat. You can simply swap your schedule of the day and sleep in the afternoon for 4 hours. I haven't done it, but if it's too terrible, you still can do it. Also, if it's super hot and if there is a little bit of wind and you have a descent, you get a little bit of cooling, and so you can actually enjoy, or you can just lay down in the shade below a tree or below a rock, whatever, and have like 5 minutes cooling down, just relaxing, whatever. If it's cold and if it's snowing, you cannot stop nowhere, because if you stop, you will freeze immediately. So
Yeah.
if I have to choose between them both, with a heavy heart, I would choose the heat.
Great answer. It made me wonder. I'm curious. You've raced all over the world, some of the hardest bike pack racing courses on the circuit. In terms of difficulty, where do you rank the Tour Divide?
In terms of difficulty, actually, Tour Divide is super accessible, and it's an easy route. It has some tricky sections. It has cocoa claims where you might find yourself hiking your bike for 1.5, 2, 3 hours, whatever, depending on your pace. Um, you might find some continental divide trail sections that are made for hikers, and you find yourself with a bike there, which for sure is not optimal, but they are super scenic, super nice. But besides that, Tour Divide is 90% gravel roads. So even if there is a lot of climbing involved, um, it's super easy rideable. I mean, I saw people. I met a guy who was touring the route with his 11-year-old son. That was inspiring.
Wow.
So you meet a lot of people out there. Yeah, there are dads with their sons. There are people that have retired that are 70 years old and that tour parts of the route. So the route is actually accessible for everyone. Not everyone needs to do the whole 2,700 miles. You can simply pick the miles nearby. You can pick the most scenic miles. You can pick whatever, a section that attracts you by interest or by whatever. And it's totally doable for everyone. Just take your time, enjoy it, and you will have a good time. So actually, the divide route is not technical and not so difficult at all in its specific parts. It gets more difficult if you want to do it really fast and in a specific window in time. So as I did, you probably can enjoy southern Montana way more if you simply stay in a hotel for 1 or 2 days. If there is a winter storm, and a lot of people actually did, they simply waited it out and continued afterwards. So if your schedule allows it, you can have a really good time. If you want to make your time a bit harder, then you continue no matter the external conditions. And if there is a winter storm, you go through it, then it's difficult. But if you wait it out, then maybe not.
Yeah. So a lot of the difficulty really comes into play based on weather and also like the length of the race, right? Like, I mean, what it lacks in technicality, it kind of makes up for in distance.
In distance, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I had a question I wanted to bring up last time, but we were kind of short on time. I remember reading a little while ago on Instagram, and I hope I'm quoting you correctly because I didn't go back and refresh my memory, but I think you posted something like you did the first 5 years of bike pack racing without ever owning a tent or without ever carrying a tent. And if that's the case, can you really call yourself a bike pack racer? So first, did I get that right? And did you carry a tent this year?
Yeah, definitely. I got a tent, I guess 2 months ago or something, but I didn't carry it onto a divide. Um, but yeah, it's totally right. I did 5 years of bikepacking without owning a tent. I changed that this summer, but this is let's say exclusively reserved for having a good time trips together with my wife.
Yes, wonderful.
So if
So
I
you can
pitch my
now,
tent, I want to have a proper sleep in it, with like, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 hours in a nice environment. I want to sit in front of it. I want to have coffee. I want to have the full experience and not just rushing through it, putting it together, packing it, and like rushing away. So this is the tent for me is really connected to enjoy riding, and it's not connected to racing.
yeah, that's so funny. So essentially, after 5 years of being in the sport, you can now officially say you're a bike packer.
Yes,
You
I,
carry
I
it.
I I earned this. I tried to earn this.
You did. You did a great job. Let's see what else we have. Oh, I wanted to get so you touched on the CDT section, the Continental Divide Trail sections that were added this year, some of the terrain and the challenges that those brought to the race. But first year with those new sections, what are your thoughts? Good for the route? Would you rather have the old route? You don't get a say, but if you did, what do you think about those new sections?
All those new sections are totally scenic. They are super nice in terms of landscape, in terms of what you get to see. They are way, way, way more nice than the old sections. Um, at the same point, you cannot compare them. You cannot compare a boring stretch from Hitchida on tarmac to the border of Mexico with this Continental Divide Trail section, which goes more or less in parallel. So you can choose a bit. Do you want to have a tarmac section where you have maybe headwind and you can count down the you have this mile markers next to the road.
Yeah.
It takes a year from
Yeah.
1 mile marker to the next one, and you have like 40 of them or something. Um, do you like this more, or do you like a proper trail where you need to hike some sections in the sand, where you need to get on and off the bike, which is kind of hilly, which is sometimes technical and stuff? Do you like this more? I think it's a personal choice, and I guess it depends a bit on the external circumstances, what you like more in the situation. Um, Now those sections are part of the route, so you cannot choose. You simply accept, and you simply try to enjoy them as possible. So whenever it is Continental Divide Trail, keep in mind it's designed for hiking. So it means it will be kind of technical. It will cost a lot of time. And if you just go there, keep this in mind. It takes as long as it takes. Then you probably can enjoy it, and you will really love those sections because they are beautiful. If you want to just go through it as fast as possible, you will not enjoy it. It will be hard.
Maybe a little bit of a good, a tiny little bit of training for the Colorado Trail coming up too, which is
Yeah.
maybe a little more similar to that. So, yeah, I'm ready to just about get into some Colorado Trail talk, but to close out Tour Divide, what are your biggest takeaways, memories, reflections from this year's Tour Divide? What are you taking away from this year's experience?
Well, I'm taking away those hard days in the snowstorm that I made it through it. I'm taking away all the difficult days towards the end that I spent in thunderstorms more intense that I ever saw, and all the good moments in between. So um, I try to. I try to say it was a good experience. It was not comparable to last year because it was a totally different run. It was totally different from the external conditions. So you cannot really say which one was the better year. But once again, it was simply a unique experience. It was a special experience, and for sure, this year there was not this one big moment which everyone has in mind, like the porta potty situation last year. Um, we didn't have, or I didn't had such a situation this year, but I have all the small moments that I enjoyed a lot with people. I don't know, with Kirsten at Brush Mountain Lodge, or just on my own somewhere out on the trail when I was in the Great Divide Basin, when it had nice weather, when there was no rain, when I was not stuck in the mud, when I saw the places where I suffered so a lot last year, and I was rolling through them totally smooth this year. It filled me with a lot of joy, and I'm really, really happy and thankful for the ride this year. I'm thankful that I was again able to make it to the finish line. That's nothing you can just say it happens. You have to work hard for it, and I'm really happy that I made it, and it was just the first step, and that was really important for me. It was just the first step on my Triple Crown project. to finish all three of those major bikepacking races this year. And yeah, just glad that I made it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Notching a very important notch in your Triple Crown belt, for sure, or Triple Crown, however you want to say that. Actually, one more question. Tour Divide, will you come back and win? You do think, I mean, I know it's a little early, but do you see yourself coming back to the Tour Divide anytime soon?
Anytime soon, not. No, I definitely, I need a break. I'm confident that I will come back to the route at some point, maybe already next month when I'm in Colorado. Maybe I will see some miles of the trail. No, seriously, I'm dreaming of coming back, maybe together with my wife and just touring some parts of it, maybe parts in Colorado, but literally touring. I saw the full course racing now 2 times, and I have some sections where I just would love to spend more time, but not racing.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I
Get to
don't know,
soak it in a little
Indiana
more.
Pass, the whole valley going down to Plateau, camping there. I love it there. And just I don't know, sitting on the river fishing, it's a dream.
Yeah.
But it's nothing that will incorporate with racing. So that's more dreaming of bikepacking trips.
Hey, bust that 10 out, man. Go back out there. You've earned a bike packing trip on the Tour Divide for sure.
That's good.
All right, August 11th, Colorado Trail race kicks off. So you said, yeah, man, we're about like 32 days away, 33 days away, something like that from start of Colorado Trail race. So, I mean, we talked about a little bit the beginning of your recovery and starting to train and prepare for Colorado Trail. So, what does that look like to turn around in such quick order and get trained up for the Colorado Trail?
Well, so the preparation with the setup and the kit and everything, that was done already. So the setup and everything is totally dialed in. The only thing I have to do is get mentally and physically ready after such a phase of intense riding like Tour Divide. Um, you don't need a lot of training.
Yeah,
You
you
are
got some
fit.
base miles.
Yeah, you got your volume in, you got some base miles. Um, so the most important thing is get back on the bike, get moving. I'm on that, and then just getting back to the routine, getting back to the intensity and to the strength. This will come back pretty soon, and then just stay healthy and focus on getting to the start line fit and healthy. That's the main task for the next 32 days.
Yeah. Well, you have so many components leading up to it. I mean, you have all the equipment prep and the logistics and physically, and you've touched on a lot of those. But what about it from a mental aspect? The fact that you just exerted so much energy, mental energy, and then the thought that you're just going to have to turn around and put yourself in that competitive race spirit again. Any concerns about mentally being able to prepare yourself to do this again?
Yeah, let me say, you have good moments where you're like, yeah, definitely, I want to do this. And you
Yeah.
have moments where you're like, ah,
Yeah.
Let me just stay at home, sit on the beach, have a coffee. It's
Yes.
not necessary. So you have both, and that's totally natural. I think that's human. But I mean, we are now talking not even 2 weeks after I finished to divide, and I think give me 1 or 2 more weeks, and I will be like hungry as normal again.
Yeah.
And that's I'm confident that's part of the process. And as I said in the beginning, you just have to give yourself the space and the time, and it all will be fine
Yeah.
till we
I,
are at the start again.
yeah. It's weird how it doesn't take that long before you're ready to put yourself through something hard again, but
Yeah.
does take a little recovery. You mentioned your equipment, so like I was curious. I can't imagine that you're riding, and maybe you are, the same bike that you did on the Tour Divide. What bike setup and what changes are you going to make from an equipment standpoint to tackle the Colorado Trail?
No, it's a totally different setup. I will introduce it in the next couple of days or weeks. It will be a full suspension bike. So on the Tour Divide, I was riding a two-stroke hardtail converted mountain bike. So on Colorado Trail, I will ride a four-stroke, a full suspension bike with a very similar setup in terms of components and packs. So everything which was basically tested on Tour Divide I will have like similar gears, will have similar suspension and stuff like this. We'll use the same clothing, gear, packs and stuff. So everything which is proven will be the same. Simply the bike will be a different setup.
Yeah. Let's talk about your goals for Colorado Trail. Obviously, number one is going to be to finish it as a part of your Triple Crown project. Any thoughts or hopes of going for first place or an FKT on this race? It's your first time to race the Colorado Trail, so I know it's kind of hard to say, but what kind of goals are you setting going into this one?
Honestly, finishing. It's super simple this time. Why? All the bikepacking races I did so far were on terrain that I knew, in terms of no matter if I went to Rwanda, Morocco, Chile, or whatever, I knew this is gravel, and gravel is doable on whatever, something between 40 millimeter and 55 millimeter tires. Now I'm going with Colorado Trail for my first ever proper mountain bike trail race, where you have like a significant amount of single trails. I don't know the terrain. I mean, yeah, sure, I did some research, but there is a gap between research and reality. So I kind of know what I have to expect on the ground for sure, but I haven't seen it. So I cannot really, like on a gravel course like Tour Divide, I can more or less calculate time that it will take me. For Colorado Trail and for Arizona Trail, this is totally new and untouched terrain for me. So I don't have any expectations or any higher goals other than just do my very best. And I think, or I hope, it will be good. But in terms of time or in terms of placing, no expectations, simply to also put myself into the right mood to enjoy it and not to put pressure on myself that I simply cannot manage because I have no reference points.
Yeah, well said.
I can promise I will go fast, but I don't know what it means.
Yeah. You know you're going to try your best. You just don't know exactly what your best means on the Colorado Trail. And we're all going to
Exactly.
get to find out together. You're going to have a more in-life and tactile experience, and I'll just be watching your dot from home. All right, well, tomorrow I'm actually interviewing your friend and I'll say competitor. I don't know if you want to call him a rival, but Justinas and I are chatting tomorrow. So any questions or any messages you want me to pass on to your friend Justinas?
Definitely say hi to him, and I hope he enjoyed, or I know he enjoyed the ride as much as I did. But I think we both have one thing in common. We both missed you at the finish line.
Oh, that is so sweet. I missed y'all too. It was terrible timing to not be able to be there at the end of this year's Tour Divide, and I missed it. Like I got serious FOMO, especially like seeing you sleeping, at their finish line, and it was different this year or last year. Like I was able to go and pick you all up and have a mini celebration, and it definitely tugged at my heartstrings too. So I appreciate you saying that, and I guess you won't be back next year, but I hope to be back and doing it again. So appreciate that, buddy.
Enjoy.
All right, Uba. Well, thank you very much, man. It was absolutely a pleasure to chat with you, and man, just congratulations on a fantastic run at the Tour Divide. As a dot watcher, a fan of the sport, I appreciate what you bring to the table, your perspective, your competitive spirit, and I appreciate you taking us along for the ride and sharing your experience. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you for having me again.
All right, well, go eat, rest, and start training. You got another one coming up.
Sounds good. Sounds like a plan. Let's go.
All right, take care, buddy. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, bye.